Good morning. Welcome to First Church of Religious Science, broadcasting from New York City. This is Labor Day weekend, and the air is humming with electric possibility. So welcome, everyone. Whether you're here in the building or joining us on YouTube, Facebook, Insta, or X, your presence lights up the moment like sunrise over the Hudson. So a warm welcome to everyone also who joined this morning at 10:45 for the meditation. Welcome to all of you who connect through our archive of lessons and meditations found on Facebook and YouTube. It really does us a lot of good if you go there, if you like and subscribe to our channels. It helps us reach out to more people. I want you to know that we gather every Sunday here to spark our souls with the teachings of Ernest Holmes and other New Thought greats. We introduce you to our New Thought philosophy that says, your consciousness creates your experience. And throughout the week, we invite you to go deeper. Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m., we have our Creative Living series hosted by Reverend James. And that will help you align with purpose. Thursdays at 7 p.m., both of these are Eastern Standard Time, same Zoom links. I facilitate the Louise gathering. That's a self-healing class, drawing on all of her work, primarily the book You Can Heal Your Life, and also Religious Science, the textbook. Louise, incidentally, was a longtime student of this teaching. She was a practitioner here at First Church. I want everybody to know, if you're new, that all of our broadcasts are free of charge. There are options to support the center, our work. We call them love offerings, and you'll find them in the chat room. You can also send a check if you'd like into the church at 204 West 84th Street, New York, New York. That's 204 West 84th Street, New York, New York, 10024. So you'll see that also in the chat room. So please don't feel obligated. Raymond Charles Barker used to say, please give your happy monies. So we're grateful to receive anything, and we're grateful no gift is too small. So that's it for the commercials. Let's get into today's message. I've entitled this Labor Day talk, Blueprint for a Bold Life. So this is a talk about purpose, power, and the joy of building something beautiful with Spirit as your partner. My dad used to say all the time to me, Spirit will not be the uninvited guest. So you want to partner with Spirit. And let's begin with a poem which is entitled The Architect of Dreams. Here it goes. By your thoughts, you shape the clay, every dream you build today. Brick by brick and stone by stone, you craft a world that is your own. With each intention set with care, you breathe life into the air. And as you labor, heart and hand, you design the life you've planned. This is your divine power, as Ernest Holmes said. The thing we think about comes about. That's a basic religious science idea. The thing we think about comes about. So today, imagine more boldly, love more freely, and lay a foundation for the life of your heart. Or in other words, lay a foundation that the life of your heart has been calling for. Labor Day, this is a great weekend for many people, right? It's a time where it's a long weekend for most people. Labor Day is a time to honor the hands and the hearts that help build our world. Not just through our jobs or careers, but through love that's been made visible. That's a line from Khalil Gibran's Prophet. When work is love made visible. So today we honor all who labor, any type of work, occupation, job, whatever it is, in the home, in your heart, any labor, or from those in unions to those who maybe in silent caregiving roles. Whatever you're doing and however you approach your work is important. So we honor everybody today. And maybe you're someone who's cooked meals for noisy grandchildren or stayed up late. Maybe you're someone who's stayed up late to comfort a friend or comfort someone who is ill. Or maybe you're someone who has whispered a prayer at dawn for someone who's going through a tough time. That's all labor too. It's all sacred work. Khalil Gibran wrote, again, I already mentioned it, that work is love made visible. And Ernest Holmes echoed that truth, teaching that whether you're raising a child or whether you're healing a heart, or maybe you're planting a new vision, it's all sacred work. So basically, sacred service can be anything. It's where you're bringing your energy and your heart into moments where you're doing something for someone or for life itself or for society. This is now 2025, and there's new forms of that I've been reading on as I've been doing my lesson preparation. People are checking in on their neighbors. Of course, that's always been going on. Now they're building community fridges in parts of the city. Or they're also planting healing gardens in abandoned lots. There's block parties going on where there's music playing, the young and the old, in lawn chairs, tossing balls and frisbees, kids chasing bubbles and running barefoot in the street. And you'll notice people are bringing trays of food, and people are taking care of their neighbors, or somebody else might be picking up trash after the music stops. If you're doing any of these things or all of these things, that's all sacred work. That's the movement of spirit that runs through us. So that's why today's theme reminds us of Ernest Holmes, who said, change your thinking about everything and you will see your life change. So we want to challenge ourselves always to, trade in the lesser idea for the greater. We want to change our thinking so we can change our life. Your thoughts are the blueprint and spirit is the builder. See, the universe is saying yes to you. So you want to have inspired thoughts. You want to have thoughts that come from spirit. The universe is saying yes to you. Your thoughts are the blueprint. Spirit is the builder. It will take your thoughts and act upon them. So today, let's look at a few extraordinary souls, visionary workers, not just of labor, but of love also, of justice, of faith. Each person I came up for today dared to design and work on something better, not just for themselves, but for all of us. And their boldness still echoes today, years later. The first, and my challenge is always finding new people. The first person I picked for today is Cesar Chavez. Now, most of the younger generation won't know who he was. So let me tell you, he was born in 1927. He was a Mexican-American worker, a farm worker who became a voice for justice. After his family lost their farm in the Depression, he worked very long days in the California fields without clean water, right out in the sun, without any protection. But Caesar held a higher vision, and in 1962, he co-founded what was called the United Farm Workers. He did so with Dolores Huerta. In 1965, only 3 years later, he became part of what was called the Delano grape strike in California. Now, I know most of us weren't around then, so we don't remember it, but he was involved in getting workers to march through the vineyards of California, holding a handmade sign that said in Spanish and English, dignity. By 1970, they had won contracts with better wages and protections. You see, Cesar Chavez didn't just protest. He had a vision for laborers. He saw what was possible, and that was his vision, and he worked to make it real. And really, I point him out because that's what we're doing here. Our thoughts become things. So we do our vision boards, we use our imagination, spirit will guide us too. And we hitch our wagons to the stars and we think about what's possible. And then we work to make it real. And that's what we do. We all have the ability to do this. You do it in ways that might not be on the news. You may not see yourself in the newspapers or on television. That's probably fine for most people. But Spirit sees it all, and Spirit responds to everything. For example, when you stay on the phone with a friend who's unraveling, or you gently bathe an aging parent or relative who maybe once bathed you, or maybe if you show up for a child who isn't even yours, you're doing selfless work. What you're doing is your work is making love visible. When you carry the groceries up a few flights of stairs for your neighbor, or you're in the subway and you're doing the same for somebody, or when you fight quietly for fairness in your workplace, or if you choose peace instead of an old reaction, instead of payback in a tense moment, that's all spiritual work. That's your vision of connection. That's you being a connected spiritual being. That's your vision in motion. That's the movement of spirit through you. When you labor with these things, your work is love made visible. As Ernest Holmes, our founder, said, we are thinking, willing, knowing, conscious centers of life. Again, from Holmes, we are thinking, willing, knowing, conscious centers of life. So let's affirm that together. My mind is one with the universal mind. My mind is one with the divine mind, creating my good. My mind is one with this divine, wonderful mind that's creating my good. So I'd like to introduce you to someone else now. This is Fannie Lou Hamer. And I don't think anybody's going to know of her. She was born way back in 1917. I chose to bring her up, Fannie, and honor her today because her labor was more than physical. It was spiritual, it was emotional, and it was generational. You see, she was born in 1917 in Mississippi. And she was, can you believe this? Hear this, the 20th child of a family of sharecroppers. That's right, she was the 20th child. That's hard for me even to understand. She was born, though, in a time where many people couldn't see her full worth, but she knew she was special. She's like a good religious scientist. She knew that she supplied and supported. And Fannie trusted that life was much bigger than what she had seen as a child. Her life was much bigger than the world that she had known. When she was young, she worked hard like her brothers and sisters. She worked in the cotton fields. She said she always knew that she was more than these circumstances, though, and that she was here for something greater. So in 1962, older then, right, she risked everything just to register to vote. And I was thinking, well, women voted then, black people voted then. But what I didn't realize that she was trying to vote, and it was Mississippi. And Mississippi was much different in 1962. There were tests that made it very difficult for people to exercise their rights. And then there were consequences for people who dared to step forward and use their rights. So I learned as I was preparing the talk, even though the rights existed, Fannie couldn't very easily exercise them in Mississippi. She lost her job, she faced harassment, and yet she kept on moving forward. She commented that Spirit or God was moving her, moving forward, and she kept working for change, not just for herself, for others. And when asked why she didn't give up, she gave the now famous answer, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. All these years I've been thinking that came from a 12-step program. So that came from Fannie. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. But she didn't just say tired, and exhausted. She turned all that angst and anger and exhaustion into a passion, and she had a vision. She turned all that frustration into fuel. And in 1964, this little girl from Mississippi was standing before the nation, not on the grand stage, but in a small room at the Democratic National Convention in Atlantic City. She was part of the Mississippi Democratic Party. You can imagine sharing her story about what it had cost just to vote. She wasn't there to provoke a fight. Her work in life wasn't to provoke fights. Her labor always was to awaken hearts, to call us all higher, and to remind the country what dignity looks like and sounds like. Because that's how spirit works. That's how life works. It moves through us by means of people. It finds someone willing and it flows through them. You could picture her in your mind standing at that podium from Mississippi. It's a big place to go from where she came from to standing in the place she was addressing the country at the podium with a hand-typed statement, speaking not just for herself, but for every forgotten worker, every overlooked soul, every person who was ever told to sit down and stay quiet. This too is Labor Day work. She wasn't doing it with tools or machines, but with courage, conscience, and heart. Fannie Lou Hamer labored for a kind of freedom that couldn't be measured in dollars. She was looking to help create a world where every person's worth and every person's work mattered. And that's the same spirit that's alive with us today in all of our communities. When we turn our sorrow into service, when we turn setbacks into strength, and when we keep showing up with love, even when it's hard. That's what we do in this teaching. We practice. It's not that we ignore the pain, but we see it for what it is, and we know we're supplied and supported, so we keep showing up with love, even when it's hard. Now, maybe you've done that in your own life. Maybe you've shown up for someone when you were running on empty, but you stayed kind when no one else was. You've held the hand of someone who couldn't hold themselves together. That's labor. That's love made visible. That's spirit moving through you, even if you didn't know it at the time. I think everybody here has been that person. And while it may not be loud or celebrated, it's real work. It's the real work of healing in a world, not just with effort, but with expectancy, with faith. When we show up that way, believing that something good is unfolding, trusting in the process of life, trusting that love has the final word, then we're practicing our faith. We are religious scientists. We have positive expectancy. We are affirming what religious science has always taught, that life moves forward by means of each and every one of us, that every loving act plants a seed in consciousness, and even the smallest gestures and thoughts can become a healing wave. Sometimes that wave looks big, like the movement or a march, but other times it's quiet. It rises in your own living room with a small act, maybe a phone call, maybe a simple yes. You see, life moves forward again by means of us. Every loving act, every thought, every deed will plant a seed in consciousness. And know that those small gestures are important, those smiles, those thank yous. Sometimes that wave again looks big. Sometimes it can move a mountain. And other times it's quiet. I want to talk about somebody else, a teacher, Emma Curtis Hopkins. She was oftentimes called the teacher of teachers in our New Thought movement. She understood this kind of labor well. Emma didn't lead marches like Fannie or feed soup lines, but she built freedom by changing people's minds. She lectured in rented halls. She was a writer. She wrote by candlelight. She was mentoring students behind closed doors. And her work still echoes through our teaching today. Emma taught people to train their thinking, to train their minds towards truth, to look away from the stories. Same thing we teach here today. Stop the stories. Emma was teaching people to look and train their minds towards the truth, to speak words of life, to speak words of aliveness over themselves and in their communities. And Emma suggested we declare, there is good for me and I ought to have it. You see, she believed that spiritual truth must be claimed. That's her, you can imagine her saying, there's truth for me and I ought to have it. It isn't something we inherit anywhere. We're one with this one. So she would say, there's truth for me and I ought to have it. So that's what we call inner work. It's real labor too. It's sacred labor. That's legacy building labor. Because if you're coming from that place of connection, knowing you're one with the one, that there's good for you and you ought to have it, your love is going to create then a legacy of healing and joy. You could even affirm that. My love is creating a legacy of healing and joy. So I want to turn now to yet another person. I had 3 or 4 for today. And this person too was born Dorothy Day in 1897. And if you don't know anything about her, she was a journalist, a mother, and she was a lifelong servant of the poor. So I thought she would be an appropriate person for today. And she's somebody who didn't just write about compassion, she lived it. She didn't talk about justice. She rolled up her sleeves and she served it. In the depths of the depression, Dorothy walked away from comfort, and she got into the heart of service, and she co-founded what was the Catholic Workers Movement. And what that was all about was opening houses of hospitality and feeding thousands of people who had nothing left but their humanity. That too is labor. She's practicing namaste in every individual. So that's not just a task, that's a calling. It's a holy reminder that no one is forgotten. And that warmth and that dignity are not luxuries, but they're spiritual rights. As Ernest Holmes wrote, your life is a mirror, and it will reflect back to you what you think into it. So let's, knowing that, speak our truth with strength. My work, whatever it is love made visible, creating good now. So think of what you do in your life, whether you're working or not, whatever you're doing, your work is love made visible, creating good now. So you can passionately say that to yourself. My work is love made visible, creating good now. The people we've honored today so far, Emma, Dorothy Day, Fanny, Lou Hammer, each lived in different times. But the truth that they embodied is alive still, because the real work has always been done in consciousness. That's the thing we teach in religious science every week. We're always talking about consciousness. We're not talking about the story of what someone has done to you or what we've done to someone or whatever. We're talking about consciousness, because consciousness is the thing that changes everything. And that thing we're talking about is not limited to an era, a title, or even a circumstance. It continues today through you. Each of you are alive in spirit. Each of you are one with the one. So my job is to keep reminding you that you are one with the one, how great you are. So here we are today, realizing that we are cause to our own experience, and that we have tremendous power to build a wonderful life, a terrific life. We always begin where all creation begins, again, in consciousness. Each of us has a sacred space within us, a garden of thought, a garden of belief, a place where we put our attention. And wherever you choose to direct your energy, life begins to grow from that place. Whatever you choose to nourish in your mind will eventually show up in your life. Ernest Holmes called this the creative process. Thought, law, manifestation. We plant the thought, the law receives it without any kind of judgment, and then the experience is reflected back to us. That's why Ernest Holmes reminds us, the thing we think about comes about. The thing we think about comes about. And it's also why A Course in Miracles teaches us that nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Spirit's very real. Fear is not real. All the fearful thoughts that we have, and we have many, they're just like noise. Focus on the truth, and that stuff will just go away. Your wholeness, your purpose, your divine light, these aren't just hopeful ideas. These are eternal truths. They're who you really are. You're whole. You're divine. You're one with the one. You're a spark of the infinite. These are, again, eternal truths of who you are. If you go back to the book in Ephesians, it says, all things are made manifest by this light. So you're one with this light. You are a manifestation of it. All things are made manifest by this light. This light lives within you. Louise taught it simply when she said, all is well. Not because everything is perfect on the outside, but because you are aligned with something spectacular. You're aligned with something greater than your circumstance. You're aligned with spirit. In fact, you're one with spirit. One of our beloved grandmothers, Maria, knows this truth well. She prayed daily for her grandson through a long illness, not begging, not panicking, but affirming his wholeness, sitting quietly, declaring his perfect health, even when his health didn't look too perfect, declaring over and over again. And you know what? Today that child is doing well. That young man is doing well, not because of the medicine, but because of the love and the unwavering belief. You see, her prayers were seeds, her faith was the sunlight, her absolute persistence was the water. So let's take a breath together and affirm. I'm tending the garden of my soul with love and trust. I'm tending the garden of my soul with love and trust. So today we've walked through the past with some of the visionaries that I thought would be appropriate for this Labor Day weekend. Cesar Chavez, who labored for justice in the heat of the fields. Fannie Lou Hamer, who turned pain into power and dared to speak truth to the nation. Dorothy Day, who fed bodies and souls, turning despair into hospitality and hope. And we've honored everyday visionaries in our own spiritual family too, like Maria, who prayed for her grandson, Rosa, who found purpose again through the laughter of children. And Ernest Holmes always reminds us that we are thinking, willing, knowing, conscious centers of life. You are a center of God activity. So that isn't just a quote, it's a call. It means you're not waiting for life to happen. You are life. You're the builder. Spirit is the blueprint. So let's bring this all into our beings and make it very, very real. This week, choose one bold intention. Not a resolution. We don't do resolutions. Just one bold intention. A revelation to you. Whatever comes to you, write it down. Post it where you'll see it. Tell someone who will hold it with you. And take one sacred step forward. Could be you'll sign up for the class. Maybe you'll open up your heart where it's been closed. Maybe you'll decide to begin again with one small act from a place of love, one place where you can get connected or reconnected. Whatever it is, this is your moment to say yes. Let's affirm it together as we prepare to close. I am living my bold life now, guided by Spirit's infinite love. Again, we'll say it with courage and joy. I'm living my bold life now. And for our closing, let's be centered and realize that there's one Spirit, one love. And let's say, Divine Spirit, you are the blueprint and the builder, the wisdom in our thoughts, the rhythm in our hearts, the breath that carries us from vision to form. Today we remember we are not waiting on a miracle. We are the miracle, awake, willing, ready. We accept the bold life is already unfolding. I release fear. I release the past. I walk forward with purpose, with trust and joy. And I declare that every hand that builds, every heart that desires, every soul that says yes, be met with grace, with guidance, and with good. And so it is. So thank you all for being here with us today. Let's carry the energy forward. Let's stay connected. Let's be connected. Let's carry the energy, this energy of connection into action. The question is, what bold intention are you planning for the rest of the day, for the rest of 2025? Thank you for being with us.